Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I want to talk about Nancy Pelosi, and the reason why I wanted to bring everyone's attention to her chart is there's some very important things about to transpire in her chart. So I thought we might look at this as a little tutorial in astrology to see how things are evolving in the world, in her life, based on her chart. So Nancy Pelosi is currently the Speaker of the House in the United States of America. So she is third in line for the leader of the country. It's the president, the vice president, then the Speaker of the House. So if anything is to happen to the president, she's going to move up to the vice president. So we want to see if we see anything in her chart. And especially right now in the United States, there is so much going on politically with the trillions of dollars that they want to bring out and spend. So there's a lot going on in her chart. Needless to say, I thought it would be very, very interesting. Like her or not, let's look at this from an astrological perspective to see what we can see through astrology. So before I start, I always want to remind everyone to sign up for my free newsletter, which is on my website, galacticcenter.org. And don't forget, while you're there, check out my beautiful spiritual jewelry, where I now have earrings with all the planets and the symbol for the Galactic Center that I designed. This is my personal jewelry line. I'm so excited. So check that out before the holidays on galacticcenter.org. Now let's get going and put up Nancy Pelosi's chart, because she has such an interesting chart. Her rising sign is in Cancer. And Cancer is a very sensitive sign. You know, believe it or not, she is ultra mega sensitive, because Cancers, I always say, they hide very much about how they really feel about things. And they act like they're not hurt, because remember, the crab has a very hard shell, but is complete mush inside. So they are very, very hypersensitive. And wherever the moon goes in her chart is very important, because the moon is what I consider her chart ruler. Because whatever rules the ascendant becomes so important, it becomes the ruler of the chart. And her moon sits in her 4th house in Libra. And that means that she's very much attuned to family. And Nancy Pelosi is Italian. Italians are very much family people, although, of course, they can be quite dysfunctional. If you know anything about the traditional family, Italian family. But you know what's really interesting? Usually when the moon is in the ascendant, when the moon rules the ascendant, and or if it's in the 4th house, people are close to their mothers. Now, I don't know her association with her mother, but I do know that her father got her into politics, because he was a politician as well. If you go to her 9th house, you're going to see there sits the Sun, Jupiter, and Ketu, all in the sign of Pisces. And you know, this can be very much involved in politics and being a lawyer. So they're in that field. And judgment, being a judge, all of those things with the 9th house, Sun, Jupiter, and Ketu. But you know, everyone looks at Ketu as spirituality and what's beyond this world. I have found that when Jupiter and Ketu come together, sometimes they can be somewhat out there with their beliefs, or even the way that they do things that may not be along the lines of spirituality. It can be over the top in a different way. So it's an extremity in the way that she believes. There is no balance there. You know, I've seen some really powerful and destructive people that have Jupiter with K2. I'm not going to go into that, but you know, I automatically put together Jupiter as being spiritual and K2 as being spiritual in the ninth house. This could be a very spiritual person, but I find that K2 can be very disruptive and have an opposite effect. And they struggle with their spirituality. That's what I think I'll boil it down to. But going to her 10th house, which is extraordinary. And of course, it should be, because she has stepped up into amazing power for a woman. I mean, let's face it, she has really progressed to a powerful position in this world. And here it is. She's got Saturn, Uranus, which is a planet of sudden change and obstacles, and Venus, all in Aries in her 10th house. Now, what's very interesting is that Uranus has been in her 10th house. So radical shifts and changes. I'm talking about transiting Uranus in her 10th house, aspecting her Saturn, her natal Uranus, and Venus. By the way, Uranus takes 84 years to go through the entire zodiac. So when somebody goes into a Uranus return, it means they're about 84 years old. And Nancy Pelosi is 82 or around 82 years old. Wow. I hope I have that kind of energy at 82. I got to say that. But personally, I think somebody should relax by the time they're in their 80s and not be struggling and fighting and doing all the stuff that she has put herself out to do. This is a tough job, very intense for somebody in their 80s. But you know what they say, and this is true, when you retire, everything kind of falls apart and you don't have anything to live for anymore. So working keeps people going, and that's a fact. But she is in for a Uranus return in her 10th house. And the 10th house is work and career. So something big is about to change. Especially since starting next March, Rahu's going to go into Aries and Ketu's going to go into Libra. And this is going to change everything about her work and her career. It may become more intense, as a matter of fact, with Rahu in her 10th. Very well could. But the one thing I wanted to really, really point out in her chart is her Mars. Her Mars sits there at 3 degrees of Taurus in the 11th house. And that is crucial because it's at 3 degrees of Taurus. That is within a degree of the fixed star Algol. That is, I have to say, one of the most violent stars of the heavens. It's tough. It deals with, they say, losing your mind and losing your head. It deals with decapitation. And yeah, with everything that's going on right now, I think she's going to be over the top, out of control with where Mars is, because the lunar eclipse that's happening November 19th happens at 4 degrees of Taurus, 1 degree off her Mars. This is going to be a very, very emotional time for her. She'll probably end up losing her head. An eclipse on her Mars in the 11th house? What is the 11th house? The 11th house, of course, people focus in on the great gains. It's friends, groups, organizations. It deals with very influential people, too. And for the eclipse to hit her Mars, she may lose it with the people that she needs to be keeping calm with. She actually needs an astrologer right now to give her insight. I don't think she has one, though. I could be wrong, but there is a lot that's about to come down in her life around the time of the third week of November and December. Everything is going to really, really explode, because by the time in January, when Rahu crosses over her Mars, Mars rules her 10th house. I think Rahu gives, but with a major price attached to it. Rahu is going to cross over her Mars, and it rules her 10th house. She may step up in power, but boy, is there going to be a price tag attached to that. This is going to be critical this year, 2022. She may step into a more powerful position, but it's going to be really tough. But I'm also looking at after April, transiting Jupiter will be transiting into her 9th house, and it's going to cross over her Sun, which is the ruler of her 2nd house, which things are going to expand and grow in the area of finances and money and position. I'm thinking there's something very radical about to happen based on her chart in the United States of America. Looks like she could step into a powerful position that's going to wipe her energy right out. She's going to be definitely stressed out. Going to where her moon is. Look at her moon at 24 degrees of Libra. I want you to realize in 2022, after March, probably around the summer months, K2 is going to cross over her moon somewhere between March and 6 months later, 4 to 6 months later. K2, but remember, the reason why I'm not giving you an exact date is it's always approximately around that time. Nothing ever happens dead on the day. It happens within a few months of this transit. Actually, I've noticed about 4 months with Rahu and K2 that they bring these events. In K2 on the moon is her chart ruler, extraordinarily important. K2 is losses. It's in her 4th house. The 4th house deals with, it is called the crux of power, the 4th house. But K2 is extreme, it's changes, and it is usually losses. So she can gain in power and lose in power within a short period of time. And K2 on the moon is very, very emotional. And she is very, very emotional. She won't probably she'll seem like she is hardcore to the max, but she's going to have a rise and a fall. So watch it over the year of 2022. It looks so extreme because then we have the eclipses happening in Libra and Aries. And this is her 4th and 10th house. And eclipses are always big changes. And it is never, ever easy. So we're going to see some radical changes affiliated with her chart that will reflect in what we're going through in the United States, because she is in a very powerful position. Like it or not, she is there. And she has got a major roller coaster ride with all of this. She may think this is all so great, but it's going to turn. You'll see. You'll see. Watch how 2022 treats Nancy Pelosi. She's in for a big roller coaster. So with that, we'll see how the world changes looking at her chart. So with that, I'd like to close. If you would like more information on me, or if you would like to study with me, Vedic Astrology, the most powerful tool for prediction, check out my website and go to my university website, because there you can join our community of astrologers and learn how you can predict the future too. So that is universityofvedicastrology.com. And also go to my website, learn more about me, and that is galacticcenter.org. Thank you.